Welcome to Supernaut, where we explore the inner and outer dimensions of the self. Today, our guest is Angie Peterson. I know Angie from my previous life of bartending, but a lot has happened since then, including the loss of her daughter, Chloe Jean. We are here to honor that experience for you and for her. So I asked you to pick a song for us to listen to together before we started so we could get aligned and on the same frequency. And you picked the song You Taught Me What Love Is by Beth Porch. Why did you pick this song?
Well, I picked that song because sometimes it's hard to put in words exactly what it's like to lose a child. And she just speaks from the heart, and it's so truthful. And she was a NICU nurse, and she wrote it for all the babies that she had to witness pass. So I feel like it was a great representation of what it really truly feels like to lose a baby.
And a friend sent you this?
Yeah, so a friend of mine sent it to me when it was within the week between her passing and her funeral. Someone sent it to me, said that this was a really great song and that I should listen to it, and I felt it was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like she read it right from my own heart.
Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And she just happened to be a great singer too, so performed it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And when you can tell in her voice when she's singing, like it starts to crack. And I feel like that's when I cry even harder because she's feeling the emotions too. So it brings out mine even more.
Yeah, when we witness other people's emotions that we have in ourselves, it's unbearable sometimes. Mm-hmm. So can you take us back to the day you found out you were pregnant to the day you got the diagnosis?
Well, she was kind of we were kind of trying to have another baby, but weren't. Our oldest daughter was maybe 6 months, and I found out I was pregnant. I went through all the testing, everything else. I'm not typically able to get pregnant on my own, so, it was a huge blessing.
And surprise.
Mm-hmm. So I had to take progesterone to make sure that my body was able to keep the baby because my body doesn't produce enough. So my body technically will try to kill whatever's inside of me because it doesn't think it's supposed to be there. So everything seemed normal. Everything was fine. Nothing came back abnormal at all. And then we had our 20-week ultrasound. And I have really stubborn children, so they don't like to be on the camera half the time. So they will turn, and it's very difficult to get anything from them. I had to go back 4 times for our oldest because she wouldn't show them. She wouldn't turn just right so they could see her stomach, her heart, get all the measurements. So when they said, oh, you have to come back, we can't get good measurements of her heart. So I went back again. They were still having issues with it. So they're like, you know what, we're just going to do, it's called a tier 2 ultrasound, where they can go in depth. They can go through the body of the baby if they need to get a direct picture. My doctor told me, oh, it'll be fine. There's nothing wrong. You'll be fine. It's just protocol, whatever. So this was in 2020. So my husband wasn't allowed to come with me into the ultrasound or into the room with me or come in at all. It was just me that could go in there. So I'm in the ultrasound room, and the ultrasound tech is going through all this stuff, and then she starts getting to the heart, and she's doing all these things, and then she stops. Doesn't really address me, just says, I'll be right back, and goes out of the room. So she brings in must have been her manager or, the head of the department, whatever, and she starts showing her things on the ultrasound and starts using medical terms. Well, I went to nursing school, and I took medical terminology. So I remembered a lot of what these were. So I'm texting him saying, hey, something is wrong. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, they're not using good words. Like, these aren't good words that they're using. And no one's talking to me. They're ignoring me. And they're just talking to each other. So instead of, easing or giving me a peace of mind or anything, they stop what they're doing. They have me go into a waiting room by myself. Don't tell me to call him or anything, nothing. Just put me in the room. And this social worker comes in and she's like, your baby has heart defects. Your baby has this thing called heterotaxy syndrome. And she's, and at this point I'm gone. Like I'm not listening to anything that she's saying. And then she starts handing me paperwork and I need to sign this and I need to do this and I need to do that. And that I need to abort the baby because they will not survive once they come out. Like, they won't be able to breathe on their own when they come out. They won't be able to do anything. And she's like, and you need to sign this right now so that you can do it within the whatever, because I'm like a week away from where they can't do it legally in the state of Minnesota. And this was at that time.
And she used the word need?
Yes.
You need to?
Yes. And I said, well, can I call my husband? And they're like, oh yeah, sure. So I FaceTime him and I'm talking to him and I'm like trying to explain to him what's going on. And then she tries talking to him and he's like asking questions and I'm just bawling. And I'm like, I can't believe that, like they're just, like no one's really explaining it to me. I feel overwhelmed. I feel zero comfort. I mean, it was probably the worst experience I had ever been through. And I'm like, well,
it's like they hadn't been trained on this at all.
No. Yeah. Like, and now looking back, I wish I was more, because of her, not this woman, because of Chloe, I became more of an advocate for my children and for myself when it came to the medical field, which I didn't know that I could. And it wasn't until Chloe that I realized I could. So I didn't say anything, and they're like, well, you have to give us a yes or a no within 24 hours. So I'm like, well, I'm leaving. So I remember walking out in a daze, walking through the parking garage and seeing his face and like just collapsing in his arms, just bawling and bawling and bawling. And I'm like, all I kept thinking about is, what did I do? What did I do wrong? What did I take a medication I shouldn't have? Did I eat something I wasn't supposed to? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, that's all I kept thinking because no one told me, how it happens or what. They're just pretty much telling me, your baby is sick. They're not going to breathe when they're out of here. They're going to have a horrible life. Like, you need to kill this baby now. So we're driving back from Minneapolis and it's really quiet in the car. And I looked at him and I said, I know what I want to do. I don't know what you want to do, but I know what I want to do. And I don't know if we'll agree on it. I'm not really sure. I go, but I don't think it's fair to not give her the opportunity to fight. And he said that he had just a sigh of relief and he was like, thank you, God. And I'm like, God wouldn't put a baby in our life, if there wasn't a reason for it. And I go, they don't know. I mean, he kept saying, well, we should get a second opinion. We should get a second opinion. So a friend of ours whose son had heart issues when he was born, and they're like, you need to see this doctor. You need to see this doctor. This doctor's amazing. Have him read your stuff. Like, he can go into those charts. He called us. So our friend told the doctor what had happened. He called us in between patients on a Saturday at like 9 in the morning. Said, I went through the charts. No, they're not wrong when it comes to her heart, but they're wrong in the fact that she wouldn't live when she came out. He goes, I think we can make it so that she can. He's like, I have already scheduled you an appointment at the U of M in in Minneapolis, and I want you to see this doctor there. I go there sometimes, but this is what I want you to do. I already have it in place. They're going to call you to schedule it, whatever. So then they called us. We went down there. We did all the ultrasounds. We did echoes on her heart, which I didn't know you could actually do anything on the baby's heart when it's in your stomach, but apparently they can. And, they found that she had heterotaxy syndrome, which is typically there's a defect with their heart, but then the majority of it has to deal with other organs, like they're not in the right place or they're missing. Like sometimes they'll have like 2 left lungs, or like their liver is moved over, or their stomach is in the wrong spot. But hers was mainly like her heart. So her main artery, one of her main arteries, that's supposed to connect to her lungs, didn't connect to her lungs. It went down below and through by the liver. So what they need to do is they would need to cut that one off and kind of put one to her lungs. So I had to go down to the U of M weekly for ultrasounds the rest of my pregnancy. And then we scheduled a C-section because I didn't want to put any stress on her trying to give birth to her. And what if something happens while, I'm trying to push her out? I'd rather it, they're out in 6 minutes. So, yeah, so she decided to, even though it was the day of my scheduled C-section, I went into labor at midnight. And we went in, and instead of my 10:30 appointment, she was born at 6:33.
So you didn't have the C-section?
Nope, we still had it.
Okay.
They had to kind of slow down my my contractions and stuff like that while we were waiting, because there was an emergency C-section that came in around the same time I did. So I would have had her probably at 3 otherwise. But I had the on-call surgeon, and she was out in 6 minutes, and that little girl screamed her head off. She screamed her head off. I think the best feeling in the world was they took down the blue screen or the blue sheet or whatever, and it was just like the plastic sheet between us, and I put my hand up, and that little turd put her hand right on mine. And she was doing pretty well that she didn't have to have surgery that day. She could have it the next. So
she wanted everybody to know she was here. She made it to the planet.
Yep.
She thanked you for bringing her.
She was
all the way.
stubborn. That girl was stubborn. She wouldn't have had it any other way. She came when she wanted to, not when she was scheduled. So that pretty much sums her up. Exactly.
So is there people in your life telling you that this was the wrong decision?
I've never had anybody say it to my face. I don't think anybody would.
That's good.
Because they know I'd probably throat punch them.
Yeah.
But the people that I surround myself with would never in the first place.
Right.
Just because. And I think I've only had one person ever tell me that I needed to do a border right away, and that was that social worker.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what decision I would make in that situation, but I don't like playing God. So.
Yeah, I wanted her to fight. I wanted her to have the chance and the opportunity. If she wasn't going to make it after the first day, I wanted her to do it on her own. I wanted it to be her terms, not mine. Because it's her life. I didn't feel like I had that authority to make those decisions for her life. I mean, granted, as a mother, we make decisions for our children, but not like that.
Not life
No,
decisions.
no,
Yeah.
no. That was between her and God. So I left it between them and just did the best I could.
Love that. So, what do you want people to know about carrying a baby in this situation, knowing that they may not have a full life?
I think they need to first remember that they are not alone, that there is way more support than you realize. And it's hard because, you don't know how to reach out to people. You don't know what to do because most of the people in your lives have not experienced it. So definitely that you're not alone, that, there's tons of support groups out there, things like that. That you also need to remember, you are bringing this amazing thing, this amazing person into this world, regardless of how long they'll be here. That's not up to you, regardless if your child is healthy. When you give birth to a healthy child, you have no idea how long that child is going to last on this earth. That's between them and God. So I think, you just take it one day at a time, and you make sure that every day is special. Every day is another moment, another day that you get to spend with that child, especially in your stomach. Like, you're growing this baby, you're breathing for them, you're pumping their blood for them. Like, you're doing all of these things for them. So right now they may not be healthy in the womb. Like, they might not be healthy in some aspect, but because of you, they are the healthiest they'll ever be. So even if it's just for that 9 months, 10 months, it's still a special gift, and they're healthy there. Life is a blessing, and every single day that we're able to open our eyes and breathe is a true miracle. So we, even as a healthy child, we should be thankful and grateful that, we get to experience that every single day with them, even if it's for a short time.
Yeah. And you had a 6-month-old daughter, like you said. How was that?
It was hard. Once she was born, we had to be down there all the time. I couldn't leave her. I couldn't not be there every single day. So a lot of the times my husband and I would split up. He was fortunate enough that where he was working, he could make her room into his office, so he could work from there every single day. So then, I could stay home with our oldest and then come down later. We had amazing support system. So his mother, my mother, I could drop them off for a couple hours, go down there, see her. Every Sunday I would spend the night down there, but we were there every single day, most of the day. But I'm sure, she was still very little, so she doesn't know the struggle of not seeing her parents. She just thought she was hanging out with her grandparents, thought it was the coolest thing ever. But, it was hard because I had to, it was unfair because I felt like I had to choose between them. And I never wanted to choose between my children.
I'm sure lots of guilt. And how long was she in the hospital for that you were driving down every day?
5 months.
Did she ever come home?
No. Christmas, they told us that she was starting to go because she had to have a G-tube. So they had a tube in her nose, and that's how they fed her. But then they were going to put one in her stomach, so then we could feed her at home. So during Christmas time, they said that she'd probably be able to go home in January, February. Well, then she started getting, a lot of fevers, and they said that, her immune system wasn't the greatest, and she had a couple other things that they were trying to figure out, and so that it might just be postponed a little, but she'd still be able to go home. And then, I think it was January 7th or 8th, I decided to do laundry at home, do her laundry, bring her fresh clothes instead of going there right away like I normally did. And then I got that phone call that she is unresponsive and that her heart stopped and that we need to come right away.
So at this point, what was the prognosis? What were they saying what was going to happen in January before you got this phone call?
So in January, they were saying that hopefully she would be able to come home. They had already done 2 open heart surgeries, 3 cath procedures, to try to fix everything that was going on in there. But she was on the mend. Things were going well. Things were progressing.
How often were you hopeful that it could be long-term?
I never told myself she was going to come home anytime soon. I always tried to tell myself that I wanted to be hopeful, and I wanted to be, that she was going to be home, But I was always so scared that if I kept pushing that I was hoping that it was going to happen, or like, oh, it'll be next week, it might be tomorrow, it might be, that I would just constantly disappoint myself.
So you were just being present and being thankful for
Yes.
each day, it sounds like.
Yeah. I tried to just go in there, be hopeful that she was progressing a little bit, and that knew that there was going to be a time where she could decline, which happened quite a bit. They would send her upstairs from the NICU. They'd put her upstairs on the infant level. Well, then something would happen and she'd decline, and then they'd have to send her back. So I think after the first one of being so hopeful that she was up on the 6th floor and that she's going to come home soon, after she went back down, I think I kind of just told myself, hey, I can be hopeful, I can be grateful, but I just need to be happy with how she's doing today, because thinking about how she's going to be tomorrow could be completely different than because obviously everybody wants their kid to come home. Nobody wants their kid to be in the hospital. I would have gave my left arm so that she could have been home from day one. But, that's just not the life that we knew. We were going to have constant heart appointments. We knew we were going to be in and out of the hospital constantly. Like, we knew that this was going to be a lifelong battle with her. But the way that they talked about it is that there was going to be a lifelong battle with her. They kept saying, like, things are progressing well. Like, we'll have to do these surgeries again when she hits certain ages because your heart grows as you grow. But, like, things were progressively looking up. And,
So it was the fevers and stuff like that?
She ended up having a brain aneurysm.
Was that related?
Huh. No. And, there's all the little things that I look back at now. Like, she had an MRI a month prior, and they were like, oh, there's like a shadow somewhere over here, but it doesn't really look like anything. It looks like it's more of a shadow, more whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, yep. They're like, we'll do another MRI before she goes home. So I'm like, okay, no problem. Yeah, sure. And I mean, there's still every single day that I go, why didn't I say no? I want another one now,
But that was the last thing on your mind.
Right. And would that have changed the outcome? Who knows? Mm-hmm. But to me, it's my fault. I should have done that. I should have, I still regret and give myself so much hate for doing laundry that day instead of seeing her,
You still do?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'll ever not. I've accepted the fact that things happen to us the way they do for a reason, and she was being cared for and loved when it happened. So, the nurse that was with her, she was giving her a bath, and she took off some of the monitors, and then all of a sudden she was smiling, and then all of a sudden she just stopped, and she put the monitors back on her, and she realized that there was no heart rate. So they were doing all of that they could while they were bringing her back down, and I just remember thinking, that poor nurse, she's probably just beating herself up about it, that she did something that, so I just remember the first thing I did when I saw her was that it was not her fault, and that you were caring for her and loving her as much as you could, So it's like I can give other people grace, but I can't give myself any.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, that comes with time, therapy, talking about it more. Some people can't talk about it. Some people process things differently. I need to say things out loud. I need to kind of juggle them off people for me to process things. That's how I work. And if I didn't go to therapy, I don't know where I would be mentally. But I am very thankful for that, because talking to someone and getting the help that I needed, even if you don't think you need it, because like the way she explains it is, as our parents, when they get sick and they're diagnosed with something, us as children start mourning their loss of them the date of diagnosis, not the day that they actually pass away, but we are already mourning that, that loss of them. We're the understanding of that. We know that eventually our parents are going to pass on. Like, we know that they're going to go, but instinctually we are in constant fear for our children. We're just trying to keep them alive constantly. So for children to die, we're not wired that way. We're not wired to lose children. We're wired because we understand at a very young age that eventually we get older and we pass away. So when someone passes away at a very young age, we're not ready to process that. We don't really know how that works.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. She's amazing. So, I mean, she, like I tell her, I'm like, well, I don't think people want to hear about it. I don't think people want to talk about it. I think people, when they're talking to me, they're annoyed or they don't want to hear it anymore, things like that. And she's like, well, why would you think that? Do people give you that assumption that they don't want to hear it? And I'm like, no, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like sometimes people think, well, she should be over it by now. And I've never had anybody treat me that way, in any way. People let me talk about it if I want to or in my own way, and they respond the best that they can because they don't really know what to say, which is fine. But she said, think of it like this, or if anyone ever says something like that to you or makes you feel like you should be done mourning that child, you just ask them, do you have children? And they'll be like, well, yes or no or whatever. And they're like, okay, so your 9-year-old son, what happened if I just happened to take your 9-year-old son away from you forever? Like, never see him again. How would you feel? You'd be upset. How would you feel a year from now? You'd be upset. How would you feel from 5 years from now? You'd still be upset. So
You'd literally never stop thinking about it.
You'd never stop thinking about it. So why is it that when we lose a child that we have to stop mourning it and thinking about it? Like grief is, they always talk about how grief, over time gets smaller and smaller, and it doesn't. Grief never gets smaller. Our ways of coping and our ways of handling it get bigger, and we have better resources and better ways to to handle those situations. So that gets bigger. But our grief never changes. It's never going to be a day where I'm not going to want to cry. I hope one day I can think back and smile more than cry. But, 5 years, still can't do it. And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge thing, that it's okay to not be okay. And I had a friend tell me that, and her therapist told her. So she said, it's okay to not be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the best thing I've ever heard. And when people are struggling, it's literally what I tell them. Don't go into this ridiculous spiral where, you can't get out of bed, which we have all been there. But,
Mm-hmm.
my therapist always says too, like when you're having that moment of grief or having that moment, you have to put it on a level and kind of look at it. Like, what is your surroundings? Where are you at? Is it something that is where you need to have that big cry? Is it something that needs to happen right now? Or is it something that we can wait until later? Do we need to show, do we need that? She checks, she asks, like, what level are you on in that grief stage? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where are you at? And it's kind of like, okay, well, if it's very high, and you're with your kids, it's okay to cry. Don't bellow and hyperventilate cry, but it's okay to have those tears.
And if they ask why, like, you can explain it, and you don't have to
yeah.
hide these emotions.
Yeah, I'm very open with my kids about that. Like she's 6 now, and she doesn't really remember her sister, but she does, and she talks about her all the time. And, like she talks about how she's in heaven and, that she's going to get to see her someday, and like she'll talk to her. And, she understands but doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want them to not express the emotions. I want them to see me be in that moment. I don't want them to see me being like bellowing and laying on the shower floor, but
Mm-hmm.
I want them to see that it's okay to cry about it and be sad, but it's okay to, pick ourselves up and keep going.
My grandma passed a few months ago, and one of her last weeks, somebody said that she was saying, "Oh, I had a sibling that nobody talked about." And we were like, "Oh, is it some kind of scandal?" But like we looked into it more, and no, it was just like a baby that died,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't talk about it. And like, why?
Yeah. I think back then, they didn't have the tools to
Mm-hmm.
for people. They didn't have therapy. It wasn't okay to talk about it. You kept it to yourself. Like you didn't talk about it. And I don't think like a lot of those, like they were as open with their children too.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was very private mom and dad stuff, and that was it,
Mm-hmm. But that like stores trauma in our bodies.
Yes.
And it's generational.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you had said to me that you didn't have a lot of people who knew how to support you. You said that you had a lot of support with grandparents and everybody, but a couple weeks ago when Matt was on and he talked about his Crohn's disease and how, people don't know how to talk to him about it. So in your opinion, in your experience, what is the best way for people to bring it up and help support you through it? Or what do you wish people would do?
I don't wish people did anything differently. I can't push people to show support or grief or anything the way that, unless, sorry. I don't want people to change how they handle situations to better my situation. Everyone does things differently. So how they talk to me, that's how they do it. We had a lot of support. We had people tell us that, like that we're here for you if you need anything. But I don't think, unless you lose a child, I don't think you really know what to say to someone. We ended up actually going to a place in Wisconsin called Faith Lodge, which is a place for parents to go who have lost children, from, in vitro to 18, 19. I think there's even older than that. And they categorize them, and, you go on a retreat. It's like a 3 or 4 day retreat, and you bond with these people, you do things with these people, kind of like exercises, we built birdhouses, we did all kinds of little stuff, and then we'd have therapy, and then we'd have group therapy where we would kind of talk about it. And, in those 3 days, I think that I didn't realize what I was missing in support until it was someone who had been through what I'd been through. And it was like a sigh of relief. It was just like it felt just like I didn't feel weird, because I feel weird sometimes when people talk about it or people ask, because I'm making them uncomfortable. And, like, not in a bad way uncomfortable. It's more along the lines of, like, they don't know what to say. Like, oh, I'm sorry. That's what usually most people say. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry that you went through that. That's unfair. Like, no one should lose a child, things like that. But, I mean, it's not like we're taught the tools for what to say. And you can be as compassionate as you want and feel as much as you want, but you'll never truly understand it unless you're going through it. Unfortunately, And I would never want anyone to go through that ever. So I'm okay with them not knowing how to respond to me, because I never would want to put someone through that. So being at Faith Lodge, it felt like an inner peace. Like, it just felt like, not like I could let her go, but like it was okay to sit in my grief. It was okay to talk about her. Like, I could talk about her with these people, and like they understood. They understood those long hours, the drives. They understood the positives, the ups and downs, all of the things. So it was really great to just talk to somebody that completely understood. But I would never wish that on my worst enemy. You know, no one should ever have to go through that. So I think I'm okay with people not knowing or not realizing how to, because I think once you go through a certain kind of loss, I think that's the only way that you can truly feel it. You can be as compassionate as you want. Sometimes it's just, it's the best they can do, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
So what did you learn about yourself that you've carried with you?
That I am a strong-ass bitch, and that I can go through hell and back, and I will do anything for my children. If that means I have to kill for them, 100%. I will drop someone right now. So I learned that I'm stronger than I thought, and that I needed to have a voice. Like, I didn't have one. Like, I did, but I didn't, Like, I was always worried about how it affected others. And after everything, I realized, you know what? I'm okay with making you uncomfortable if you ask me. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat shit. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna happen. And I'm okay with that, because what I realized by being that type of person, I've surrounded myself with people who love me for me and don't try to tiptoe around me or make me feel uncomfortable, or not uncomfortable, but try to make me feel, where I don't want to say anything because it might hurt her feelings, or I don't want to bring it up or anything like that. So I've realized that it brought the best people, the people that I should surround myself with. So, yeah. And then I'm way stronger than I thought I was.
Throughout this whole thing, where did you encounter the deepest love?
Definitely from her. The way that she fought for her own life. Like, She was an extraordinary little girl. She was strong, she was resilient, and she was a fighter. They called her feisty. They called her a diva. Like, they literally had Diva Chloe on her board. And, like, the nurses, all of them, they were like, I mean, I still talk to multiple nurses that were there that knew her because she couldn't say a word, but she just had this way with her eyes, how she could just talk to you. And she was just so extraordinary. And I knew that she had this big plan. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew that she was going to have this big, huge plan. And her and God had this way that something miraculous was going to happen. Like, she was just a miracle in a little body, you know? I didn't think it was going to be as soon as it was, but I think because of that, I grew to love and appreciate just life itself and my faith. You know, a lot of people struggle after losing a child with their faith. Like, why did God take this baby away from me? Why did God do this? But it's God's design. You know, he has this purpose in life. Like, she was meant to be with us, even if it was for that short period of time. She was meant to have such big impact on life. And I have, talked about it with people who wouldn't know, like, didn't understand anything like that. And it's changed people's perspectives on life, on their children, even healthcare workers. She's changed a lot of people's lives that, she'll never realize, but she does, because she's always here with us. But
I've been wanting to watch the movie The Butterfly Effect again.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch that movie? It's like,
probably when it came out.
yeah, when a butterfly flaps its wings, it changes the destiny of the world. And, right, it's like she's this puzzle piece that has changed so many people's lives.
It's really interesting
Even
that you
in
brought
that
up
small, tiny way. Yeah.
It's really interesting that you brought up the butterfly effect because, I struggled with the fact that I wanted her to give me signs that she was fine, that she was okay. And years had passed by and I never saw anything. And I knew when she was ready, she'd be able to. And this last year, my father passed away. And he gave me billions of signs. And not everybody believes that, and that's okay. But when he passed, there was a white butterfly that would literally come to our front door every single day. And we have butterflies all over our yard because we live out in the country. But I would never see any other ones. It would just be this white one, and it would literally on our stoop, just when I'd open the door, I watched it follow the car one time, and I could feel her in that butterfly. Like, I knew that was her sign to me, that she was okay. So it's interesting that you'd pick that for... Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe you wanted it too much with her.
Yeah.
But with your dad, you were able to, just know, he's going to send him easy, Well,
it was actually weird how those happened. My son, who, he would point and stare and, point towards areas. And, I could just feel, and he would just babble and laugh and giggle. And he started doing this, but a harder pop noise. And he's like a baby doing this noise. And my dad used to do it. And none of us do it. And my dad only got to know him for a very short period of time. So, he wouldn't remember that. So I knew that was him. And then our 3-year-old, she was sleeping. And she woke up and told me that Papa was here. And that he told her he had to leave and go back to work and that he would see her again soon. And she says he talks to her all the time when she's dreaming. So, I just, so, after that, that's when I saw her. But my brother explained it really well. And he said that, Dad only goes to where he's needed. So you should feel blessed that you're getting those because I don't get them. So Dad's there because you need him.
And I love that he went back to work.
Yeah.
work for you guys and everybody
Yeah.
that he loves.
Yeah, and I like to picture them up there and he's just teaching her all this stuff, and yeah, so it was interesting to me. I mean, like, of all the things to pick, I mean, there's so many serendipity movies and so many different things like that, but to pick the butterfly, that was her. I would like to think that was her.
That's great. I've had lots of butterfly signs this week, so it's all connected. Love signs.
For sure, because I always felt her the strongest with butterflies.
Anything else with your relationship with God or how you believe, what you believe spiritually?
Well, I mean, it's very obvious, like when you lose a child or when you lose anyone, there's always that moment of why did this happen, And I thought that I would have a struggle with my faith. I thought that it would pull me away, like he was taking something from me. And I never felt like that. I felt like he gave me this tiny little blessing for 5 months. I got this beautiful miracle that I got to watch and experience things. And I got to see the first of things for her. Were there struggles? Of course. But I could never picture him not doing something out of love. So or out of a bigger picture. Like, I've never lost my faith, or I think it actually grew better. Like, it was stronger. Him and I have a better connection. I feel like I want my children to know more about him. So, we talk about God all the time. I feel like sometimes it's harder for people when they have lost a child, or even lost anyone for that matter, that they can lose that faith. But we have to just remember that, he has bigger plans for us. And these short little moments that happen in our lives, they're not always what the outcome is later, Like, I still don't know, what the great grand scheme of things are going to be for her, for why she left this earth so early. I know that helping others is something that I want to do because of it. The infant losses, even just child loss in general, is huge. And I don't think it's talked about enough. So I feel like that's my calling because of it. But I won't know what the big picture is until later. So sometimes we have to just remember that he has a plan, and sometimes we don't understand why or what he's doing. We just have to have faith.
Well, I think we kind of choose to come here, and maybe she only got a ticket for a little bit, but you helped her see the world, the planet that she wanted to come see so badly. I've heard people say that our vision of God is developed through our vision of our own Father. So it seems like it's easy for you to see God as a loving Father. Is that because your father is very loving?
He was. He was a very good dad, but, he had his moments like any other dad, He was stern, but he always had a plan of some kind, always something up there.
So I love how that's all correlated.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense too when you really think about it. Because even if you're having those moments with your own father at the time, like there was that blip of where you didn't talk or you were mad, like that's kind of your struggle with your faith. If you have it, which I'm sure everybody does. You can't truly love or believe something without questioning it somewhat, but understanding it to a better aspect and growing it type of thing.
If she could hear this conversation, which I'm sure she can, what would you want her to hear?
That I'm doing her proud, and that I hope that she's ready for me, because when I get up there, we have so much playing to do. hope she's ready. And to thank her for her sister and her brother for giving them to me, because they were both pretty big blessings that we didn't think we were going to have. Yeah.
Thank you for trusting us in this space with her.
Of course. The more I can talk about her, the better I feel inside. And I want people to understand, because sometimes it's hard. It's hard to understand what someone's going through. And, I don't want people to feel uncomfortable or worried of saying things to me, because I'm okay with them talking about it, and I'm okay with them asking questions.
Yeah, you have a great perspective on that. I mean, a lot of people aren't going to deal with this in their life. And so for you to have sympathy for their lack of knowledge in the subject is really huge of you.
Yeah, being self-aware is sometimes a blessing and a curse.
For sure.
So,
Yep,
yeah.
I texted somebody that about an hour ago. They were saying something, and I was like, isn't it a curse to be self-aware? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So your next two children, did you struggle getting pregnant?
Yeah. Well, with our third daughter, we struggled. I was doing everything. I was having constant cysts on my ovaries, to the point where they thought they were going to have to take one of them. And then finally it just happened. Everything clicked. Everything went well. And then she was born healthy, happy, and fine. And then we were done having children. And I had to wait until 6 months after breastfeeding her that's what they wanted me to wait before I could think about having surgery to have a hysterectomy, because I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which it's too much to explain, but I'm very high risk for cervical and ovary cancer, very high risk. So I just wanted it all gone. I had scheduled a consult for that month, and I remember bending over cleaning our tub, and I wanted to throw up. And I went, oh, no.
Like that, it's that kind of throw up.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, no. So I went and took a pregnancy test, and I just remember bawling because I was like, uh-oh. But then I just, he was a blessing in disguise, I'd never been able to get pregnant on my own. I've had to take all kinds of stuff to get pregnant. I was definitely not on anything. I'm to the point where, I don't even actually ovulate. So, sorry. So, and he just came in with a bang. And here he was, and we got a boy on top of it. I'm like, of course. So when I decided to do a C-section with him so that I could get my tubes tied. So no more babies. Yeah. Yeah. But no, we're older. So we didn't want to be the grandparent looking adults at kindergarten graduation. So yeah, he was a little blessing in disguise, and he is just a turd. And she definitely made sure he came. Yeah. She handpicked him. 100%.
Love that. Is there anything else that you thought you would share that we didn't get to?
I don't think so. We just have to remember, if you're going through loss or any type of issue with, your children, it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to reach out for help. That is huge. Mental health is huge. So don't feel like going to therapy is wrong. Because I don't think I would get through a lot of stuff if I didn't go to therapy. They have such a wide aspect of life and how situations, so I just want to make sure that, if you are going through this, if you're in the thick of it, there are support groups that you can find there. But I swear therapy will help, whether you think it will or not.
Nobody's immune to not needing to talk about things and not needing to feel understood. And when you can get a group of people that make you feel understood, or you can talk things out and hear a new perspective of somebody who's not going to be biased and who is trained, there's just nothing like it.
No. And I mean, like you can have that friend group that you can talk to about everything, but they're going to be a certain sided. They're going to be one-sided on things. And they're probably going to agree with you a lot of the times because, you guys are compatible in that way, where sometimes you need to be told like the opposite of what you would like to hear. And sometimes it's hard, but that's where I think therapy is great.
And that will help you grow.
Yes.
And these things don't happen to us for us to just stay the same.
Right.
I mean, what if trees had stayed the same? They were just a seedling. I mean, we are here to grow and to change.
Yes. And
everything
it's okay.
has to.
It's okay. That's the biggest thing is like, I don't think it's okay to not be okay. I will push that till the day I die. But it's okay to grow and to change. And sometimes growing and changing will scare you to death because the people around you will start to leave. But those might not be the people that were truly supposed to be around you, whether you want to believe it or not at the time.
Because if they're not okay with you not being okay, and you have to put on a front all the time, and you have to be strong,
right?
You don't have room to actually be strong.
No, you don't want to mask yourself or fit yourself in a box. We're meant to change and grow and experience things, and we're meant to learn from those experiences. If we were supposed to all be the same, we'd all go through the exact same experience, which we're not. We're supposed to take these things that we get and go the path that we believe is right, and that's how we either learn from it or we grow from it. And sometimes you have to leave things behind, and that's okay.
Love that. Okay, now we're on to the segment where I reveal to you how people see you.
Oh, geez.
I asked you to give me the names and numbers of the people I could reach out to that know you really well. And I asked them to describe you in 6 or 7 words so that I could put those all into themes. And we do this because I just think we're really bad at seeing ourselves how other people see us. So, your first word was so easy. It was really huge, a huge first word. Like everything just fit in with it. It's altruistic, which I love the definition, so I wanted to read it. It means the unselfish concern and welfare for others involving actions that benefit others at a cost to oneself. Because you were described as compassionate, 2 people said empathetic, 2 said caring, 2 said thoughtful. We have giving, selfless, considerate, helpful, affectionate, loving, and generous. And second word is indomitable. And I didn't know the definition exactly, so it is a person with will and courage that cannot be subdued, conquered, or defeated. Because you were described as strong, warrior. 2 people said resilient, brave, bold, fierce, and protective.
It's true.
And then effervescent, which is joyful, funny, fun, encouraging, competitive, and 2 people said passionate. Genuine is your 4th word, with authentic, open-hearted, intentional, adaptable, loyal, and dependable. And your 5th word is exceptional, amazing, wonderful, important, gorgeous, beautiful, and smart.
I paid them to say those things.
Yeah. Please remember, you are not these words. You are not your thoughts. You are the space between the words, the space between your thoughts. You are the one who knows you have thoughts. Observe them, reflect them, but know you are not them. And then your synopsis is, you don't just survive, you transmute. Pain becomes purpose in your hands. Joy still finds you because you keep choosing it. Open-hearted and unbreakable at the same time. Compassion is your instinct. Courage is your spine.
That is beautiful. If I could tattoo that on my body, I would. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think we forget, you know. We always feel like a burden to people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think we're such the worst critics to ourselves. Because if you literally took yourself and had to take care of that person, would you really talk and say those things and do those things to that tiny little person that you were taking care of? Absolutely not.
I feel like a burden all the time, but I can't think of one person in my life that's even close to a burden. So why would I think that everybody thinks I'm a burden? Like,
Right.
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. I saw this TikTok the other day. It was this lady who, her intrusive, horrible thoughts about herself, she named it. So then she will say, okay, not today, Barbara. Like, not today. Like, she will talk back to it with a name.
Yeah.
And once you can name it, then it's not really, it's not really you anymore. So you're like, hey, don't talk to me like that. That's rude, like. And she said it changed her whole mindset. Like, I would love to be able to do that because I'd probably just laugh at myself the entire time I was doing it. I'd think it was silly, but like, I loved that.
I love that idea of naming your ego, giving it a name, because your ego is the one that has every thought. Every thought in your head is the ego. Your soul is the one who knows you have these thoughts.
Right.
Like who's noticing that I have thoughts? So, okay, I'm going to find a name tonight. That's what I'm going to do tonight.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got to think of, like, a hilarious name.
It's like, okay, whatever, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm
So
not going to listen to you. What? I can't think of a name. Yeah. Yeah.
A friend of mine named her car Janessa. Oh. So every time it break down or something like that, she'd be like, okay, Janessa.
Yeah.
And I always loved that.
I wanted to say Julie, and that's why I stopped myself, because there's about to be 3 Julies at Sherman, I think, which is like, we can't handle that. Like, they're all kind of like in the same area too.
Oh, geez.
I'm like, we need nicknames. So I'm like, I can't name my ego Julie too.
You should give it like a good Valley girl name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Savannah. I don't know. What's a good Valley girl name? What are their names in
Stephanie?
In what's the movie?
Mean Girls?
No,
Gretchen Wieners?
Clueless, because they're in the Valley.
Oh,
Cher.
Oh my God. Yes. I totally want to name my ego Cher. Cher is super extra. Every Cher I've ever met, I haven't met any. Yeah. Because they're super extra and they would never come to Mora.
Yes. They might, but they would probably leave.
Yeah.
They got here stuck by accident because they're driving with whoever up to, their cabin.
Right.
Up on.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, except now I have nothing to do again tonight. Okay, so the last 2 questions we always ask is, what do you do right now that you hope your grandchildren do when they're your age?
I hope that they are outspoken, and I hope that they tell people how it is and just don't let the other people make them feel little, and be extra. And I hope that they're proud. I want them to be proud of themselves and for the life that they have lived and for the life that, because technically, like, the crazy thing is, like, when you have a girl in your womb, you're also carrying the babies that she's going to have in her womb. Like, those eggs are there from day one. So, like, I get to carry my grandbabies. So, like, thinking of it like that, I hope that my strong-willed and my love and compassion, I hope they have all of those things, but better.
Love it. Yeah. And what do you do right now that you hope that they don't do?
I hope they don't have self-doubt. I hope that they don't let the fear of doing things and being out there stop them from being anything but extraordinary. And I hope they aren't bullies, because I don't like bullies. So I always got my fingers crossed for that one. Stick up for the bully, or stick up for the little guy. Don't be the bully. That's my big thing. So I hope they're not bullies.
Beautiful. Thank you. Well, how can every episode be my favorite? After every episode, I'm like, this is my favorite. And you have such a beautiful voice, and you're so well spoken, and you did such a great job. Thank you so
I always
much.
think I sound like a Valley girl.
Oh.
So
I love it.
when I hear myself, I'm like, oh my God, this is what I sound like.
Love it.
This was fun. I would do this a billion times.
Oh, good. Okay. We'll have you back. Thank you.
Yeah.